Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Spyderco Astute, a very inexpensive knife offering from Spyderco. I will link this right down below. You can absolutely get this knife right now as far as I know. I hope that that's actually the case. You can check. Anyways, thanks so much to Andrew for sending this in for review. And thanks so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me right now. There's a link for Patreon right down in the description. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Okay, let's go ahead and get a measurement of this guy. Not a huge knife, not necessarily a tiny knife either though. Overall length of the Astute coming in at about 6.8, 6.7, it's about 6.8 inches overall. Blade length, boy, no, you know, it's under 3 inches, just a hair. Be careful with that one. Blade length, actual cutting edge length is coming in about 2.85. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. And the Ontario Rat, if I can get that straight, Model 2. Rat Model 2 is closest in size. The Rat 2 is a little bit longer, but the cutting edge on the Astute, honestly, it's got a little more cutting edge than the Rat. I think the ratios, on a Spyderco of all things, the ratios are a bit better. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3? This will be, what on earth just happened? I'm glad that wasn't on camera. Just about threw that across the room. Spyderco PM2 and Para 3 here. Para 3 definitely a larger knife. It's closest in size to the Para 3, but again, take a look at the cutting edge. The Astute has more cutting edge. Great. Awkward ratios on the PM2 and Para 3. Last but not least, the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue. And the Benchmade Bug Out. Bug Out being closest in size, but still definitely longer. Cutting edge between the Bug Out and the Astute, pretty darn close. The Bug Out's got it beat, but I mean, it's just, this has a lot of cutting edge for how little knife is actually going to be in your pocket. Let's do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. You can see here, this is not a thick knife. It's actually quite a bit thinner than the Para 3. Length and height, PM2 and Para 3 comparison. It is shorter in length and in height versus the PM2 and Para 3. So yeah, there you go. This is going to be a pretty easy knife to carry. Let's do blade stock thickness. Let's take a guess. 115 thousandths on the blade stock. Let's see if I'm right. No, I wasn't close at all. 94 thousandths on the spine there. So very thin. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. Get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that says My Tools. Do we have a T6 pivot? Is that really a T6 pivot? Yuck. Okay, it is. Be careful when you're taking this apart. We have T6 hardware across the board. There's not a lot of hardware, but this is a Spyderco, not known for having the most durable screws in general. And on top of that, this is a Chinese Spyderco with a T6 pivot. Make sure that you have good tools that fit properly, and you should be okay. Let's move on here. Inside the knife, get out my flashlight real quick. We have steel. Steel liners, no milling or anything like that. Then we have G10. And what's the blade steel? 8CR13 MOV. We'll talk about that more here in just a little bit. Weight on this guy. Excuse me. Get out the scale here. I don't know, 2.8, 2.68. That's on this channel, it's ultra lightweight. Anything under 3 ounces. I'm just not going to argue too much about ratios, which are good. But yeah, it's ultra lightweight. So pretty cool, right? There's a lot of good here for like carry preferences and things like that. This is a good EDC sized knife. Let's go ahead and get into the main part of the review here. Deployment on this guy is pretty nice, pretty easy. Nice liner lock. It's easy to engage because of this scallop right here. So you can get your finger in there, move it. There's a nice spot, right? The behind where the cutting bevel starts, there's a nice spot to stop the blade. You can do the reverse flick. You can do the forward flick, which is nice considering that this is a smaller knife. It's running on washers, and I think it's running on complete phosphor bronze, but sometimes they sneak in a surprise Teflon washer. I can't really see it. I know you guys want me to like have taken it apart and looked for sure, but it feels like it's on phosphor bronze. There may be a nylon washer in there, and truthfully, I don't really care that much. My Ontario Rat 1 and 2 both have a nylon washer in combination with a phosphor bronze washer or washers. I can't remember, and they've always functioned just fine. So my preference is that it runs on phosphor bronze without the nylon washer, but if it does, I just don't care that much. The action's pretty good. You're not going to get that false shuttiness. You're not going to get anything like that, but it's smooth and it's responsive, right? The deten's also good. Look at this. Click. Nice. Reverse flick. Easy. Nice and clicky, right? Solid lockout. It's good. It's easy to manipulate. Edges are nicely knocked down. Look at that nice, how they scallop that right there to make it real easy to get in there behind that opening hole. That's nice. Everything nicely knocked down. Good shape. I mean, it's weird. It kind of looks like a little... The body, it kind of looks like a little stink bug, right? It's the fat sort of beetle body, or maybe some type of fat hornet or wasp, kind of like a bumblebee, right? It's not that fat, but yeah, ergonomically, it's no masterpiece, but it is comfortable. The pocket clip makes itself known because this is the Spyderco. This is like the clip that they put on everything. And since we're looking at a handle that is, has much less room on it than something like the Spyderco PM2, that clip feels much more present. So the lines on the knife are good. It's just the pocket clip. The pocket clip's not terrible. It just makes itself known because it's taking up, 75% the length of the handle. So there you go. But it is comfortable, and you can get right up behind the edge comfortably without there needing to be a choiler. You've got a nice safe spot right here. Pretty open canvas. So it's a smaller handle, and I'm cramped in there, but it's so, open that it feels comfortable to go ahead and squeeze it, right? You can get a full 4-finger grip on this guy. It's nice. The blade is a fully flat ground blade that is very typical of other Spyderco knives, but the blade shape is good. This is a great example of a knife that has a subpar steel, because nobody likes 8CR13 MOV anymore. This is, I believe, the Chinese equivalent to AUS 8, and AUS 8 is no bueno. But, I mean, it's better than 420J, right? Those of you, who are familiar with the gas station Wizard daggers or Dragon tactical, it's got a dragon on a motorcycle, and it's got a seatbelt cutter and a glass breaker, and it's a black painted serrated Tanto blade, right? That's 420J. Or surgical, or whatever, it's the unlabeled garbage steel, right? It's still better than that. But it's not anything spectacular. But the grind, the reason I'm emphasizing that, this is a great example of how geometry can actually really play a huge role in how well a certain composition will function. So while 8CR13 MOV isn't anything spectacular, this is a really good geometry. Very thin on the spine, fully flat ground, comes down to a nice thin edge. Really nice, slender overall blade profile, so you're going to have the puncture task sort of ease of... It's going to be good at puncturing, right? If you need to dig into something. But yeah, as far as EDC goes, this is a really good blade shape. It's pretty straightforward, but this is what you want. And it's done well. This is one of the nicest, maybe the fit and finish on this particular one is just really good, but generally when I see Spydercos from China, I just expect it to be a goofball. I expect the satin finish to not look as good or have belt burn or be kind of discolored. I expect the final cutting bevel to be a little bit wonky. This one's nice and even on both sides. And I just expect general fit and finish issues. That's not the case here. This is really nice. The blade is really nice. Everything looks good. So maybe this one is just special. Or maybe the Astute, maybe they've stepped it up. I don't know how old the Astute is. I keep checking the box to make sure that I'm right. I'm not familiar with these less expensive Spydercos nearly as much as I am with the American flagship stuff. It says 8CR13 MOV on one side and Spyderco. And then on the other side, it says China, which I wish they didn't have to put that on the blade, but they did. Can you do the reverse flick with this knife? Yeah, you can. There's not nearly as much room as on other Spydercos, but you definitely can get your finger in there and do it. It's much easier to open the normal way or just wheel it out with your thumb. This side has the show side pivot. You can see that this is, the clip is multi-directional, ambidextrous. So you can mount it tip up, tip down, left or right-handed carry, which is fine because this knife does not have a flipper tab. So it really doesn't matter. You carry it however you want. It's all going to be equally as safe. The knife has a whole bunch of little standoffs. One of them is a lanyard barrel. It's always funny. This clip is, meant to go on a lot of different Spydercos, and a lot of them have the lanyard barrel where the clip mounts. So this has the hole for it, but that hole leads to nowhere because the lanyard barrel is back here. That just looks stupid. They need to have a different clip, right? I mean, like this right here is, I understand that the screw holes are different, but it's just a difference in drilling holes. So why does this have that? If you can find an aftermarket clip, I don't know. I know like the MXG stuff is drilled the same way as the American Spyderco clips. So I don't know if there are aftermarket clips that'll fit this guy or not, but it would look better and function better. This clip just doesn't make any sense. There is a lanyard thing, by the way. So if you like lanyards, then there you go. I'm not really overly concerned with the lanyards. The pocket clip position is fine. It doesn't carry deep, and it's on the line of carrying shallow because of how these clips mount, but it's not bad. There's not much sticking up out of your pocket. Truthfully, it's the overall length and shape of the pocket clip that make this kind of weird. And it's taking up too much room on the handle. So it is what it is. It's really not that big of a deal. It's one of the biggest negatives or biggest downsides to this knife is the pocket clip is just kind of weird on it, but okay. Peel ply texturing on the G10, which I think is fine. We didn't talk about that in ergonomics. It's not super duper aggressive, but it's definitely, it allows for you to get a little bit more grippage, I guess, if you want to put it that way. This side is pretty much exactly the same as the front, except for the pocket clip is mounted here, and it has the adjustment head on this side. The knife does lock up absolutely solid, and we're locking up at about 45 to 50%. Easy disengagement, no lock stick. And the blade, to my surprise, is, I think... Oh, it's just a tiny bit off, but that might have been because I'm playing with it here on camera, right? So let's give it a quick turn, right? Maybe justice can be done. Just give it a tiny little turn. Wonder if it came back at all. Yeah, a little bit. Did it? Did it come back just ever so slightly? Maybe. I don't think these would be difficult to adjust if you needed to, right? Can we still? Yeah, we can still do that. Is the action still good? The action didn't change. It's ever so slightly off center, but this is not necessarily a brand new knife. Let's take that with a grain of salt. Okay, this is actually a really great overall EDC profile. The blade is really, really good. The ergonomics are plenty comfortable. The pocket clip is awkward and big and goofy on this, and it looks stupid with the hole leading to nowhere. The steel 8CR 13 MOV is big, long, wet fart noise for 8CR 13 MOV. We need Spyderco to do something different with their budget, their Chinese line. Something different. Honestly, D2 is already boring, but I would rejoice. I would hands to the sky for D2 on these things. I think that they should play it smart and do something that's, even if it makes the knives a little bit more expensive, I think we should go with something a little bit more, with the knife trends right now. But just not 8CR 13 MOV, right? Not that. The geometry of the blade makes up for what the steel lacks. It's really, really good geometry, and it's the only reason that I'm, reviewing this and actually trying to make a case for it, because the geometry is that good, right? You can have the best steel in the world, and if you have a crap geometry, then it's not going to cut, right? So we've got a really good geometry and a crap, like not an excellent steel. So it rounds out to about a C plus, maybe a C overall. So we're talking a D minus steel and about an A for geometry, right? So that's what we're coming out to. How much is this? It's actually less expensive than a lot of the Chinese or budget Spydercos out there. $46. $46. It's really hard for me to make a case. Because a lot of people will, it doesn't matter how good right? Look down in my comment section. There's people who have already commented this who didn't watch the entire video. As soon as they heard 8CR 13 MOV, they immediately passed on it, right? It's like they can't, the whole thing comes down to steel. Now, for people who use their knives in very, very specific circumstances, or they use them all day, every day, well then yeah, the steel is going to matter a lot more. If you're getting your knife out like a couple of times a week to open a package, sorry, but you don't need a specific steel. And you know what? I can say that because you're me. I don't need a specific steel. I can understand wanting it though, right? Just wanting to feel like you have the value that you want the value part of it, right? As far as a tool goes, just a straightforward tool, if we can set all that aside for a little bit, everything here is so good, besides the pocket clip in its position, that I think I can still kind of make a case for this knife. This is one of the best budget Spydercos that I have handled, and I really, really like it. I wish the steel was something different. I do, but you know, for 46 bucks, it's $13 away from I don't care territory. I've always said 30 bucks or less, I almost don't care what the steel is. We're looking at $16 more than that. So is that $16, you know, do I think that, you know, where's that going? The design and the profile, especially the blade geometry, right? It's a good design. Who is the designer here? Does it say? No, it doesn't. Who knows? Well, for 46 bucks, this is going to go on 2 playlists. Knives that I can recommend, or Metal Complex's recommended knives, and cheap knives I like. You don't have to buy this, but if you're looking at, you know, into this and thinking, I would say choke down the steel. This is a good beater, kind of throw it around, leave it in your truck, or maybe you want to EDC it. I think after a while, you'll get over the fact that 8CR13 MOV is pretty subpar. Strap it back up, continue to use it, right? This is a decent knife. It's one of Spyderco's better budget knives at $46. But in that competition zone, just understand, you know, CJRB and we dominate that zone. Especially, I'm saying we, Civivi. Civivi dominates this territory. If you could go to Blade HQ right now, type in Civivi, and find 15 knives easily that are better than this. So Spyderco needs to do something different with their steel. If this had a better steel, I could make a way, way better case for it. But this is, as it sits, generally recommendable. About a C overall. It's all right. I think that's about all that I can say. Like I said, you should be able to find this, I think, down in the description, so you guys can take a look if you want to. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.